All right, hello, hello. It is the insurance exam queen here, and I am so excited that we have our game night tonight. So we're actually doing game night tonight with Peter, and Peter is our new instructor on board. Now, I I know everyone is very familiar with me, the insurance exam queen. You guys have my YouTube videos. You probably have some of my class series. But Peter actually trained me. So Peter is amazing. Peter helped me learn life and health. And then I helped him with property and casualty. And, we both have the same approach of making this simple, making this easy to understand, and focusing on the exam, right? So a lot of in this industry, what we find is that a lot of these instructors, and if you've ever taken any of these live online classes, whatever provider you have, there's so many different providers out there, is that they will tell you stories and all kinds of stuff, and they don't really focus on the test. And you walk away from these classes not really knowing much, or they just read the PowerPoint slides. Peter and I are opposed to reading PowerPoint slides without explaining what is going on. So him and I, we got along really well. We did work together at the same company. So I'm so super excited to bring him on board so that we can offer you guys more live classes. So I'm so super excited. Now, he is going to be running the show tonight, but I wanted to come on here and introduce him to you all and say hello. I'm actually going to be dipping out to another meeting. We have an agency who wants to receive support. So I'm going to be going to help them. So I will not be here. Peter is going to run the show, and he's amazing. And you guys, that's what happened. You took a 2-day course and learned nothing. Yes, some of you will walk out of classes where you had an instructor and you don't learn anything, especially in Illinois where you have to take an in-person class. And you're like, you leave sometimes more confused than when you began. I see Daylene is shaking her head, yes. So Peter, though, is just like me in the way that we teach, might be a little bit more calm than I am, which I love his presence. So I'm just so super excited to bring someone else on board who can help with the live classes. So, but he will be running the show tonight with playing the Kahoot. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it on over to him and let him take you guys through game night. And there's going to be 2 more game nights this week with Peter. This one is all exams. So whether you're life, health, property, or casualty, personal lines, adjuster's exam, this content shows up on your exam because there are many commonalities between all 4 exams. So we chose that for tonight's game night so that everyone can come in. But we have a property and casualty game night scheduled and a life and health. And I don't remember the exact days, but you can always check it out on the website under the live classes. So I'm just going to let it go over to Peter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Lemieux. If anybody here has any history or knowledge of hockey, Lemieux is a hockey name. I am not a hockey player, but I will claim they're my relatives, right? That's what I'll try to do. If you notice, there's a slight age difference between Melissa and me. Melissa could be my granddaughter, for goodness sakes. I have worked with Melissa on and off for several years in different capacities, and I just thoroughly enjoy Melissa like you guys do. She's a bundle of energy, but what really, when I first met her, she's such a good teacher. You know, her background is she taught like 2nd and 3rd grade. So if you can get information at that level, you know how to get through to people. And I try to do that, but I'm not in 2nd, 3rd grade anymore, so we'll do the best we can. But I like to have fun when I teach. I think the biggest motivation I have, and Melissa has this motivation too, we're useless if you guys can't pass the test, right? I mean, that's the only reason we're here. You're not here because you like me and you want to come to my birthday party, right? You're here because you want to pass the test. We want you to pass the test. So there's a method that we're committed to that we will use Obviously, personality differences. Melissa and I aren't exactly the same, but I think the concept of how we teach will come through. Hey, you'll be the judge of this. Tonight, we're going to have some fun with a Kahoot game. I believe, let me do a couple things about the Zoom cameras. Because of the number of you that are here, it's impossible for me to see all of you. Okay, so if you think I'm watching on you, I'm not. I just, y'all, the 4 or 5 of you I see look fine. So you can go out to dinner and you're all fine, but I'm not really going to be watching you. And you're all muted. So we do the muting for your own benefit. You know, in the past, when we weren't muted, we've picked up embarrassing things in the background, you know, like kids yelling or people screaming at you or dogs barking, or maybe the kids are having a fight in the background, and just it disrupts the class and it's somewhat embarrassing to you. So muting you is the best thing to do. So how do you get to ask me a question? I'm going to rely on the chat. Okay. If the chats go by so fast that I miss yours, you can unmute yourself and just say, hey, Peter, what you said didn't make any sense. I don't have a big ego, okay? So you can't hurt my feelings. Sometimes what comes out of the mouth of a teacher is not what they intended, and they may misspeak. Just call me on it. We'll straighten it out, okay? Try it on the chat, and if I miss it, just turn your mic on. Don't leave here with an unanswered question, okay? That's the most important thing. We're going to play the game. We're going to have some fun. And the end result is learning while having fun is what we're trying to do. Are there any questions you folks have? I've been in the insurance business for almost, believe it or not, 50 years. I know I don't look like I'm 100, but I am. So, but I've been in the business for almost 50 years. And a large portion of it, I'd say probably 15 years on and off, I've doing what I'm doing tonight, helping new people pass a test. And that's how I met Melissa. And so I've got some experience in this. The other thing, which I don't mean to be so long-winded before we start, but sometimes people come to this class with wrong expectations. A wrong expectation is that I'm going to teach you all about insurance. Okay, I'm not. My goal is to focus on the test you're going to take. Once you pass that test, your employer will teach you all the ins and outs of insurance and fancy policies and things you can do in marketing. That's not on the test, okay? I'm going to try to keep it with what shows up on the test. So I'll try not to wander into the woods and talk about a whole bunch of stuff that, on top of being boring, probably won't be on the test, okay? So that's the goal, and I'm really, really pleased to be here tonight. And, you know, I had planned on having Uber deliver you guys pizzas for tonight, but I just couldn't get that all pulled off in time. So maybe next time we'll deliver you a pizza for the class. I hope that's not true, Mars. I hope that you're actually still alive. Anyway, let me pull up the game. It requires me clicking a button and saying down here to share screen. Which screen we're going to do. All right. Let's see if this is working. You know what I want to do is shrink this down. And I've got all these stuff in my screen here, like covering my screen. That's okay. I'm getting there. I do know what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to join in the first game. You guys got it on your phones. I think a lot of you know how to do this, but if you're not sure, it's kahoot.it, and they're going to ask you for a PIN. And the PIN number is 615-1282. And give yourself a name and join. I'm going to put the number in the chat box in case you don't get in like you want. 615-1282. That's the number of the game. Now, Melissa and I believe that there's only so many people that can play the game. We may have more people here than can play the game. So if it gets to that and you can't get in, don't leave, okay? You can still see the questions and you can write on a little piece of paper or say to yourself, I believe the answer is C, and then see if you got it right or not and listen to my explanation. So I'm hoping everyone can get into the game. If the game fills up and you can't get in it, stay with me, okay? Still play the game, just not on the phone. 27 people are in the game. We got to be close to capacity. 28, I guess not yet. I'll wait just another few seconds to let you guys get in here. In the chat box, if anyone has never played this before, can you put an N in the chat box for no? Thank you, Doviana. You'll probably end up winning. I don't think it's complicated, okay? I think the rules to a card game might be more complicated. But, wow, we got 32 people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the game. If you can join the game in progress, you have to remember 615-1282, okay, to get you in the game. Kahoot.it, 615-1282. So let's get started and see what we know, what we don't know, and if we can make sense of it. Ooh, Kahoot at home. That's a nice home. Big old TV. Okay, quiz. Legal contract. And the four options are binds both parties, different state to state, four necessary elements, and requires money, but no signatures. Which of those is right for you? You punch it in, the computer will remember it. They only give you so much time to do this. 4 seconds. Hopefully most of you had a chance to answer. Let's see how we did. Okay, the correct answer is four necessary elements, and less than half of you got it right. Okay, no problem. Let's see if we can figure this out. A lot of you were attracted to bind both parties. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that certainly makes a lot of sense. But here's the problem with that one. If you can remember, the contracts in insurance are what we call unilateral. One side is bound, the other side is not. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, one part of the contract says the insurance company has to pay all claims that are covered. They have to pay them. The policyholder has to pay their premiums, but the policyholder is not bound. They cannot pay the premiums, drop the policy, and the insurance company can't sue them. But if the insurance company doesn't pay the claim, you go get an attorney and see how much money you can get off of them because you got them, okay? So remember, an insurance contract is the word we use is unilateral. It only binds one side. Can someone allow me in the chat? I don't know if we can stop you from being in the chat. I'm looking at the chat and you're in here. So the room, Jasmine, may be filled up. Okay, can you see the screen with the questions? No, it's okay. Why don't you just, instead of trying to invent the wheel here, because I'm not a technical guy, why don't you just work off your phone? What is it you're seeing? Because the chat's coming through loud and clear. What are you seeing on the computer? Excuse us, folks. This is only going to take a second. It's important. Host will let you in soon. Oh, I think I can do that. Okay, let me just see. Oh, I just let you in. Jasmine was knocking on the door and I wasn't answering the door. She's just like the baby Jesus. She was trying to get in. I wasn't letting her in. All right, I just got to pay attention now. Thank you, Jasmine. You should be getting in shortly. All right, so back to this. The insurance contract does not bind both parties. It only binds the insurance company. So let's remember that. But a very important thing about number 12, what's that color? I'm colorblind. So the one that was right, 4 necessary elements. This is really important. If you people study by replaying these Kahoots, that's fine. If not, I really suggest you produce for yourself a writing instrument of some sort. Pencil, pen, Crayola, magic marker, I don't care. And write little love notes to yourself of things you have to learn. You've got to know there are 4 necessary elements in a contract. I think they're going to show up in the Kahoot. If they don't, I certainly will be happy to review them with you, okay? 4 elements for a contract to be legal. That's really important. In fact, that's what makes the question correct, okay? So having done all that, let me move on to the next question. I want to know something here. Let me get rid of this. There's got to be a button that lets me go to the next question somewhere.
It's probably right under
top right says next.
top right.
Oh, I know what I did wrong. No, I didn't. Top right.
You might have something hanging. It's like just down a little bit. You might have a Zoom.
I got it.
Right there you go.
I found it. It's like my wife told me, if you want to hide something from me, put it right in front of me. Because I can never find whatever she puts right in front of me. Go get that can. I'm looking in the bedroom, the backyard, everywhere. It's right in front of me. Anyways, I found it. Let's see. Somebody called the Chad is in first place. And I'm sure that made your day, but you have not won this thing yet. We got ways to go. How about looking at number 2? If a material misrepresentation is intentional, it's called fraud, warranty, representation, or concealment. Material misrepresentation. One second. Boom. The correct answer is fraud. Some words there that are very important. By the way, test tip. Do you know most of the answers to the questions will come clear to you if you read the question correctly? There are often real good clues in the question. So the clues in this question is the word material and intentional. That's the tip off. So fraud's the correct answer. Over half of you got that correct. But a large number of you were attracted to the word concealment. So let's talk about concealment first. Concealment is you're withholding information that you're supposed to give. Have you ever had a surgery? Oh, nope, never had a surgery. It's not true, right? I had a surgery 4 years ago for a rotator cuff. I don't think it's important. So I just withhold it. That's concealment. Not telling the insurance company something they asked you to say. And concealment alone won't be fraud. For it to be fraud, you need two things, and they are material and intentional. Material plus intentional equals fraud. E equals MC squared. See, it's a lot easier than that, okay? If you have material and intentional, you have fraud. So what the heck's material? Material says that if the insurance company had known that, they would have made a different decision. Let's go back to my rotator cuff surgery. You want to know something? That probably wouldn't have changed their decision. 4 years ago, I've gone through physical therapy. I'm fine. They would have still approved me. So even though I intentionally concealed it, it didn't rise to the level of fraud. To be fraud, I have to intentionally conceal something that changes the game. I don't have cancer. And I found out I do. Now that is intentional and very material, correct? So when you have intentional and material plus intentional, this is what you're all writing down with your writing instruments, right? Equals fraud. Concealment alone is bad. You're not supposed to do it. It's what we would call a misrepresentation. But all by itself, it may not be fraud. Okay, so that hopefully explains that whole thing to you. You know what? I stopped here in my playing around with this. I buried that chat box. And so if you guys are chatting with me, I don't see it right now. So if you want to argue with me, make a statement or something like that, certainly just turn your mic on. I'll find the chat box. So there it is. Okay, I got it back on. All right, let's go to the next question. Oh, who's ahead? The Chad. The Chad is, I like that name. It's kind of like a dignitary of some sort. It's like the insurance exam queen, right? If Melissa's the queen, I was trying to figure out what I am. I'm not the king, I'll tell you that. Maybe I'm just some duke or something. Anyway, the Chad, representing some type of royalty, is still in first place. The master. Now, if you've ever worked with Melissa, I ain't no master. So next one, number 3. Ooh, what's this one all about? I didn't even read the question. All the following are legal purpose except not against public policy, being 18 years and older, can't break the law, lawful reason. Which one's not legal purpose? Well, the correct answer is being 18 years and older. More got that than the other ones, but the class was really distracted on this one, okay? A lot like not against public policy, and then cannot break the law got some votes, and lawful reason got some votes. What this says to me is there is a misunderstanding in this class of legal purpose. I don't think the question was hard. I don't think the question, did you in? What all of the following are legal purpose except, unless you forgot it's an except question, which means when you got an except question right, 3 of them are right. You're looking for the wrong one. So if that's what did you in, okay, that's correctable. But do you really understand what legal purpose is? Remember, I told you 4 elements make a contract legal. The 4th one is legal purpose. And what that says, the contract cannot be to break the law. All right. So I'm going to pick on somebody who was last on the chat, and that's Ashley. Ashley has a contract for me to sign that I'm supposed to, after class today, drive into town and pick up some cocaine and deliver it to her. I sign the contract. She signs the contract. Is that a legal contract? Of course not. A legal contract can't break the law. If I refuse to go and get the cocaine, Ashley can't sue me. She can kill me, but she can't sue me, right? So the point is, legal purpose says this contract has to be a legal contract, which means it can't be against public policy. It can't break the law. It has to have a lawful reason. Those 3 are all true. That's what gives it legal purpose. Being 18 years and older has nothing to do whether it's legal or not, unless you're trying to drink alcohol or something like that. But about the contract, it's got nothing to do with the legality of the contract. Now, there is something else, that the person has to be competent. And if that person was 10 years old, 10-year-old can't enter into a contract, but that's not legal purpose. That's called competent party. Are you writing these down? Legal purpose and competent party are 2 of the 4 elements. And you got to know those, folks. That's what makes a contract legal. And when we sell insurance, we're making a contract between our client and the insurance company. So 2 of them are legal purpose and competent party. I bet you on this test, we're going to get to other ones. The Chad had some bad news. Not only did the Chad fall out of first, the Chad isn't even in the top 5 anymore. That's the way it is in life, right? You're popular and then no one wants to buy your music anymore. Well, happens. Right now, first place is with Unstoppable with a line through the name. There's some kind of mystical meaning in that, but we'll figure it out. Next question says, agreement is also known as offer and acceptance, cannot hurt the public. Everyone is of legal age, promising to pay. What's agreement? Oh, look at this. Mic drop. I'm going home. Everyone's got it right. Offer and acceptance, right answer. Only 2 got tempted in the wrong direction. Folks, the 4 elements of a contract: legal purpose, competent party, and agreement. But agreement has 2 parts to it. Okay, so it's not enough to know A, B, and C. I got to know A1 and A2. Offer and acceptance are part of the agreement. And I know you guys got it right, but allow me to just clarify this agreement. Offer on the state exam is when somebody fills out an application. They're making an offer to buy the insurance policy. When the company says, okay, we're going to give you the policy, that's acceptance. Offer and acceptance satisfy agreement. So I got agreement, competent party, legal purpose. There is one really important one left. Let me address those who thought it was promise to pay. That happens to be one of the four elements. It's just not agreement. It's, I think, the next one coming up on the slide. So let's see if it is. But before we do, let's see if unstoppable stayed in first. Yes, unstoppable so far is unstoppable. Watch out for Nell. Double A. Jazz and Mars. Was Mars the one who said they were dead? I don't remember. Okay. People are just, word on the street must be good. People are clamoring to get into this class. So I guess I'm a word on the street right now. Let's do this one. Next question says, consideration on the side of the insurer. Promise to pay, paying a premium, reviewing the application, issuing a policy. Well, it's promise to pay. And once again, this class is knocking it out of the park, and we have discovered the fourth element. The magic has been revealed. Four elements of a legal contract: agreement, which is offer and acceptance, and then something called consideration, which includes the insurance company's promise to pay. Okay. There's a part that our clients has, which is paying the premium, but that wasn't the question. The question is consideration on the side of the insurer. That's their promise to pay. If it had said insured, it would be paying the premium. Reviewing the application is not part of it, and issuing a policy is part of agreement. Remember, it's acceptance. Let me do a quick review. Agreement, offer and acceptance. I fill out an application. The insurance company says, okay, I've satisfied agreement. Do I have a legal contract yet? No. I have to satisfy consideration. Consideration says the insurance company has made a promise to pay, and our client has paid a premium. Without consideration, it's just talk. There's no insurance. It's like if you were going to buy a house, you make an offer and the seller agrees to it, it's still not your house. You got to come to the closing and fork over some dough, right? Consideration activates it. So you got agreement and consideration. For the most part, that makes the policy active. The last two could make it invalid. Doesn't happen very often, but it would be invalid if the parties weren't competent. If the person buying the insurance was drunk, right? That would invalidate the contract. Or if that contract was not for a legal purpose, it was something Ashley made me sign to go pick up some cocaine, then it's not a legal contract, okay? But it's agreement, consideration, competent party, and legal purpose. Those are the four elements that have to exist in any contract, but for our purposes, since we're taking a test on insurance, it's insurance, all right? Are we doing okay? Let's have unstoppable so far is unstoppable and widening the gap. Double A battery there is second, Nell, Mars, and Josie. Very interesting. Let's try this one. When both parties bring something of value. If I was paying attention, I might know the answer to this question. Both parties bring something of value as consideration. We have to have money from the client and a promise to pay from the insured. Without that, there's no consideration. Some people thought it was competent parties. There's nothing in this question that insinuates someone might be incompetent. If it's not in the question, it's not in the answer, okay? Offer and acceptance, that has to do with agreement, right? So we're asking about consideration. Counter offer is a bogus thing. They just threw it in there to see if someone would bite. It's got nothing to do with it. What we've done so far, we've covered a very important part of your test. The 4 elements necessary to have a legal contract, and these will show up. You got to know agreement, consideration, competent party, and legal purpose. If you're not sure of them right now, make sure you're writing it down, okay? And you go to it. I'm going to remind you at the end of the class. This isn't a class, it's a game. With these games, we're just kind of doing a flyby. We're kind of touching a few basic things to see if you're clear on them. If you really want to get down and dirty and understand the elements of the contract, folks, Insurance Exam Queen's got the answer for you. Go and buy one of her programs. She's got gold, silver, bronze. The gold's the best, but you could buy a program and she'll go into more depth than I can, because I've just covered one concept so far, 4 elements of a legal contract. Well, let's see if we get some other stuff done. Unstoppable, 400 points ahead. Congratulations, Donna. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. Next one, an absolutely true statement on an application. Representation, misrepresentation, warranty, or concealment. Well, the answer is warranty. More people picked that one than any other, but we had a large amount of people that were attracted to representation. Let me break this down a little bit here to make this a little bit simple for ourselves. Statement on a contract, on an application that's absolutely true. It can't be misrepresentation, because that's not true. A misrepresentation is an untruth. So we just throw that one out. It can't be concealment for the same reason. Concealment is you're not telling them something you're supposed to tell them. Those 2 are not true statements at all. So it is either a representation or a warranty. Really good information here, folks. You need to know the difference. A warranty guarantees the insurance company that what I put on this application is true. A representation says it's true to the best of my knowledge. So let me tell you a little clue. On insurance applications, they're all representations. Warranty, guaranteeing the truth of something, would occur. This will never be on your test, but I'm trying to help you understand. Have you ever applied for a mortgage and they want to know everything about your finances? How much money you got in your 401k, the bank account, your credit cards, how much do you owe? What was your income? Validate your income. And you got to put all this stuff down before they're going to give you money for a mortgage. Those are warranties. Have you ever heard of mortgage fraud? If you deceive the lender by lying about your finances, and they find out, people have gone to jail for mortgage fraud, okay? So warranties are really, really serious. You know, you got to get your signature notarized, and you're saying, these are true statements, and I have the proof, right? Bingo. We don't do that when we buy insurance. When I say to you, when was your last speeding ticket? And you say March of 2018, what you're saying is, the best of my memory, that's when it was. Well, it was March of 2017. We get it, okay? We know you're not going to be 100% accurate, but you're trying your best. The insurance company understands that too. What we have in insurance application are representations, true to the best of your knowledge. Yes, this is being recorded because there's no way. Well, I'm not going to make a joke about myself. It wouldn't hurt, though, to write little love notes to yourself. Learn about the 4 elements of a contract. And now, representation versus warranty. If you want to replay this again, and if I'm making some sense, you might want to do that. But warranties really don't see that in insurance policies. Okay. You maybe your address, even that, I don't hear court cases against that, right? Unless you're buying a homeowner's policy and you end up insuring the wrong house because you tell them the wrong address. But for the most part, on insurance applications, we're doing best of your knowledge, and the insurance company knows that. They know that these answers to the best of your knowledge. Now, I got to pause right here. If they're all representations, Peter, how can I ever be guilty of fraud? Because to the best of my knowledge, well, let's go back to what fraud is. Intentional and material. You know it's not true, and you still said it. And it's material, okay? I didn't tell you about the DUI I had 2 months ago. You can't forget that, okay? For goodness sakes, your court case is coming up, and you telling us you never had one. That's obviously intentional and material, okay? So you can still have fraud, even though we're only giving representations. I hope that made some sense to you people. I'm going to proceed on without questions on the chat box. Let's see who's in first place. Well, are we going to concede this thing to Unstoppable at 6,400? Unstoppable. Maybe Unstoppable really works for Melissa and made the questions up himself. I don't know. Let's find out. I see the chat is back in business, came up to 3rd place. Let's do the next one. Which of the following is a competent party? A lawyer on daily medication for blood sugar, an insurance professional drinking at happy hour, a 16-year-old college student, a doctor on pain meds after surgery. Only one of those is competent. At least that's what the question says. The lawyer on daily medication for blood sugar. All right. What's wrong with the other guys? An insurance professional drinking at happy hour, maybe intoxicated, maybe not, but drinking and going to fill out an insurance application is not a good idea. Okay. Certainly someone could contest that you are under the influence. Number 2, 16-year-old college student. What's the problem with that? Not an age of majority. Number 3, the doctor on pain meds, the same thing. Pain meds, someone could argue that you weren't of right mind, but there's nothing wrong with just taking blood sugar pills. So of the 4, and you're going to have a test question about this, you end up picking the one that makes the most sense. Okay. Of the 4, that one seems to be the most sober and the right age. The other ones are arguable, but that one seems pretty clear. And that's why we would go with the medication for blood sugar. That all is under competent party. Okay. Unstoppable let's not concede this to Unstoppable. Mars is coming up. Nell, Ashley, and the Chad, there's a lot of points left to be made. I'm not against you, Unstoppable. I just want to see competition. All of the following are elements of a contract except, well, we've been talking about this a lot. Hopefully you can find the wrong. Counteroffer is not one of the four elements. They are agreement, consideration, competent party, and legal purpose. Counteroffer is not in there. I see these things going on about no. Let me clarify this. This is being recorded. Okay. I don't know if I've ever, no, I have been recorded before. I was going to make a joke about this. Because it's being recorded, Melissa made me promise not to sing. Okay. So I won't be singing during this class. Counteroffer is just a made up answer. Agreement, consideration, competent party, and legal purpose are the four. We keep saying this over and over again. You guys are going to have memorized before we're done. All right. Mars is second. Nell is third. Unstoppable's in the lead. Let's just see what's going on. We're only halfway through this thing. By the way, I got more coming up. I said I'll be here for 2 hours. I will be. Next one. Customer submits an application is known as agreement, legal purpose, acceptance, or offer. I did tell you this before. So under agreement, there's offer and acceptance. And I said to you, the offer is when the applicant fills out the application. The acceptance is when the insurance company approves it. So the offer is submitting the application. It's not agreement. It's a subset under agreement. So you got agreement, which has offer and acceptance. The application is merely the offer. To get an agreement, you have to have an offer and an acceptance. What if I filled out the application, the insurance company says, no soup for you. We're not agreeing with the policy, right? Then there's no agreement. So to get an agreement, we have to have two things, but offer's one of them. I understand what you said about on the chat about your replying to questions. Here's the problem. I don't remember what I had for lunch, so I might not remember a question I just asked you. We work with the old dude as best we can, right? I hope that made some sense, okay? Offer is part of the agreement, but it's not an agreement yet. Next question. What are we doing here? Mars is actually staying in, you better not mess up Unstoppable. Mars is hot on the trail. Carmela, 3 in a row. I want to recognize Carmela. I know you're all using fake names. So if I recognize you, you won't even know I'm recognizing you because it's like a masquerade party. Everybody's got a fake name. Maybe.
No, mine's not fake.
Oh, all right.
Carmela.
All right. Congratulations. Somebody was honest in the class, not deceiving us. I'm just kidding around. Next one. The cause of a loss. Adverse selection, unimportant, hazard, or peril. The cause of a loss is a peril, not apparel like clothes, APP. It's PERIL. Now, I have a belief about tests. And if I believe it, it's true. Insurance isn't that hard. The test is. So what makes the test hard isn't insurance. It's the language that the insurance companies use. It's foreign. We don't know what the words mean. I'm going to tell you, a good frame of mind getting ready for the test is imagine that you're learning a foreign language. The more you understand the words, the easier the questions get. So to that end, in your study material, I trust, you have somewhere a glossary. So if words come up and you don't know what they are, don't guess, look them up. If you haven't got a glossary, Google it. Peril is a really, really important word in insurance. Peril covers the loss, causes the loss. Let me give you an example. Insurance companies don't cover all perils. Let me pick on Hannah. In the chat box, I see Hannah's name. Let's imagine that Hannah has an automobile policy. She gets in a car accident. How much money is she going to get from her renter's policy where she lives? How much money can she collect on the renter's policy? Put something in the chat. She has a car accident. Her renter's policy will pay what? I'm looking at the chat box. This is where you type an answer. Thank you, the Chad. 0. Nothing, not a squat, forget it. Does that mean that Hannah has a lousy renter's policy? No, it means it doesn't cover that peril. That peril is covered on her auto policy. So perils are important, and you might own an insurance policy that's not going to cover something because it's not a covered peril. To find out if you're going to get a payment from the insurance company, you have to say, is that covered on my policy? Well, we have a word for that. It's called peril. Is it a covered peril? Really important word. Those of you who've been studying dwelling policies and homeowners policies, they talk about perils all the time. What perils are covered under one and not the other? Peril causes the loss. Hazard doesn't. If you want to know the difference, I'll be happy to tell you. Hazard increases the probability of a loss. So we have a hazard before there's any claim at all, right? So we have a hazard that somebody wants to insure a house with serious defects in the foundation. I mean, this house is not steady. That's a hazard. If you insure that house, there's likely to be damages done because of the foundation. That becomes a hazard, but it's not a peril. Peril causes the loss. Hazard is before the loss ever happens. It's a condition we see before we even approve the policy. I hope that makes sense. But what I'm getting at right here is, folks, really important. Vocabulary. You got to know the words. What is a hazard? What is a peril? Right? What is a representation? What is a warranty? These aren't hard to understand. They're just a foreign language. So the more you get into this, the more you say, I got to learn the words. Learn the words, it all gets easier. How are we doing here? Well, that lead is about 500 points right now. Ashley is in 3rd place, so getting interesting. Next question. A customer provides premium and an application. This is known as The correct answer is consideration. A lot of you put agreement. This may be my fault. Okay, so let me come clean here. When I was explaining agreement, I said that the offer is when the insured, the applicant, fills out an application. That's their offer. So when you saw application, you said, oh yeah, that's the offer, which is part of the agreement. Let me try to clarify this. Hopefully I'll make some sense. Filling out the application is a request to the insurance company for a policy. It's an offer. But what we're talking about here is consideration. Allow me to back up a little bit. Consideration involves both parties making a commitment. I told you the insurance company promises to pay the claim and our client promises to pay the premium, and that's consideration. I left out a part. So slap on my wrist. Melissa will have me washing the dishes tonight for sure. But what I'm talking about here is on consideration, our client pays the premium, but also part of that is the answers in the application. Why is that important? What if we have fraud in that application? The application answers are really important. So our client, I took that question off the board, forgive me, but our client, remember this in consideration. Insurance company promised to make a claim, client promised to pay the premium, but we also list the application there as part of consideration. The answers in the application. So what's the deal, Peter? Application is offer, application is consideration. I understand the confusion. Just remember, when we're just talking about the application alone, it's an offer. It's half of the agreement. It's an offer. It's like, I want to buy this house. I'll give you so much for it. It's just an offer. That's the application. But when we get to consideration, our client has to pay the premiums and the answers on that application have to be true. I hope that makes sense. Okay. But application shows up in both, but they're looking at it with different eyeballs. I'm not sure I'm 100% happy with that clarity of that answer, but that's the way it is. And that's why you need to buy Melissa's course. I got it right. I hope it made some sense to you. Okay. Let's try another one. Intentionally withholding information. Let's see, everybody should get this one right. Intentionally withholding information. No pressure. I just expect 100%. That's concealment. Well, most of you got it right. However, 9 of you were tempted with misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is answering something incorrectly. What makes something concealment is you don't say something you're supposed to say. It's withholding information. Have you ever had a surgery? No. Have you ever had a DUI? No. That's concealment. Okay. It's withholding information. Misrepresentation could just be, the example I gave about my last speeding ticket. I was off by 2 months, or I was off by a year. That's a misrepresentation. But concealment is not saying something you were supposed to say. This has serious ramifications, okay, especially when it comes to fraud. Fair enough? Well, whether it's fair or not, I got the whistle around my neck, so I'm going to move on. All right. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Mars. has pulled a tricky maneuver. We need an investigation. Mars has climbed into first place. This is going to be very, very interesting. And Ashley is sneaking up too. Number 14, information that would have altered the underwriter's decision if it was known. What's the word for that? I hit the wrong button. Yeah, the dog ate my homework. I heard that too. So if it would have changed their mind, it's material. That's the right word. Remember I told you vocabulary? This is a great example of the vocabulary. Material means that if the insurance underwriter had known it, they would have made a different decision. The example I gave before is you had cancer. That changes everything. Or I had a DUI 2 months ago. That's material. That's important. Now, some of you were tempted with misrepresentation again. Misrepresentation alone won't cause fraud. Let's go back to my example of I'm applying for some medical insurance and I don't tell them about my rotator cuff surgery 4 years ago. Well, that's misrepresentation. It might even be intentional. But you want to know something? The insurance company says, we don't care about that. That's over and done with. We're still going to accept you. I shouldn't have done it, but it's not fraud. To be fraud, it has to be material. It has to be so important that the insurance company would have changed their mind. And we don't have to know what's material or not, rotator cuff surgery 4 years ago, rotator cuff surgery last month. They're not going to ask you that question. Okay. It just means material means the insurance company had known about that one. You might not have gotten the policy. It's that serious. So material is something very, very serious about whether you can be accepted or not. I hope that makes some sense. Okay. Misrepresentation alone, it's not good, but it may not rise to the level of fraud. Let's go to another question. Well, wait, before, what's going on at the horse race? Don't bet against Unstoppable. Seize the lead back from Mars. There's only like 5 questions left. We're at the bottom of the 8th inning. Next question. A statement an applicant makes on the policy. Is it a representation, a misrepresentation, concealment, or warranty? So that is a representation. Some people thought warranty. Those are the only 2 that got votes. An answer on an insurance application is not guaranteed to be true. That's what a warranty is. Think of a warranty as mortgage application, and you could have mortgage fraud and go to jail because you're guaranteeing its truth. Insurance application, all you're saying is, as best as I can remember, this is the answer to my question. That's called a representation. Okay. And I hope we've said that a couple times and it's starting to make some sense. Forgive me, but I'm going to take a lozenge. Without the lozenge, I might run out of voice. How are we doing here at the horse race? It's very, very close. One wrong answer by Unstoppable, and Mars can go back into first. 3 in a row. The Chad is back in the game. 16. The insurer issues the policy. This is known as "25 people got it right. That's acceptance." The rest of you were very politically correct. You distributed your answers for everyone. Okay. Some of you said consideration, some acceptance, and some offer. The insurer issues the policy. It's the acceptance. It's part of your agreement, offer and acceptance. It's not an offer. The offer comes when the applicant applies for the policy. It has nothing to do with legal purpose at all. That one just doesn't fit. You know, I might be expecting too much to hope that everyone gets every question right. That's probably unrealistic. But by now, I hope you at least recognize the importance of the 4 elements of a contract and understanding how they play out. That's been a large part of what we've done so far, with some other things thrown in. Unstoppable, oh my gosh, is only a 300-point difference. Did I ever tell you guys how this is scored? You get points for getting it correct. You get additional points for speed. So let's say in our race for first, Unstoppable and Mars both get the question correct. The one who answers it first gets more points. I didn't tell you that. But that's very, very close. 3 questions. Oh, no, I think 2 questions to go. A contract is one-sided. The word for one-sided is unilateral. Uni means one. If you're riding a unicycle, it has one wheel. If you have a unibrow, I think you guys know what that means. It's just one. And this is, contract is one-sided. The word we use for that is unilateral. Aleatory is a different word. I haven't had a chance to tell you about aleatory, but that shows up on the test. Let me wander into the weeds and talk about aleatory. What aleatory means is it's not an equal exchange. Whatever you pay for the insurance policy, the insurance payment to you is going to be more than what you paid in if you have a claim. If I'm going to pay $500 for my homeowner's insurance to insure a $300,000 home, and it burns to the ground, 300,000 is a lot more than 500. That difference is what we call aleatory. You would never buy an insurance contract that's not aleatory. Would you personally buy a $500 insurance policy for $500? What's the purpose? You give them 500, and if you have a claim, they give you your own money back. I'll just keep the money. You expect the insurance to have much more in it than what you pay. That is called aleatory. People have trouble remembering all these hard words. One of the instructors I heard used this analogy. Instead of aleatory, think of a lottery, if that helps you. Because when you buy a lottery ticket, mega ball, whatever it's called, and you pay $10, you're not hoping to get $10 back. You want a lot more. A lottery is by nature aleatory. The payout's much higher than what you go in. Somebody's got a microphone on. So please check your microphones and make sure it's off because we're hearing noises. I know you hear my noises when I click my pen and all that stuff. Okay. I hope that is enough on this one. I think we're going into our last question. And Unstoppable has, oh my gosh, look at this. Like 200 and some odd point lead over Mars. And this is the last question. By the way, if you've done this before, you know we got an awards ceremony coming up. Untrue statements on the policy are representations, misrepresentations, warranties, or concealment. Untrue statements. They are misrepresentations. Almost had a mic drop here. I almost had everyone get it right. A couple people thought they were warranties. Let's get clear on this. Insurance applications don't have warranties. Mortgage applications do, but you're not going to be asked about mortgage, okay? Warranties guarantee truth. Insurance applications are representations to the best of your knowledge. You could be a little bit off on dates or the spelling of a doctor's name or something. It's not concealment. An untrue statement is you're actually making a statement, okay? So the answer is misrepresentation, and now we can hardly wait for the awards ceremony. Da, 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 da. I'm not singing. Da, 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 da. Podium, third place. The Chad, third place. Second place, Mars. And first place goes to, I think we all know, Unstoppable. I want to give a little bit of a shout out to Nell and Tino, who finished fourth and fifth. Congratulations to everyone who played. So that was the first game I have planned for tonight. I have another one here, that little different topic. Let me. No, don't. You know what they say about the Wizard of Oz? Don't pay attention to the man on the screen. Practice makes perfect. 48% we got on that. All right. Let me go back here. Who wrote on over my screen? Did I do that? It's weird. It's not me. Vandalism. That's what I call it. Vandalism. We're going to talk about the general principles of insurance. I don't know how all that writing happened, but I take this into my shop tomorrow and get it fixed up. You guys are going to need to go to kahoot.it and load in 814-6749. MB Texas. It was fun. The only thing that could have made it better was that pizza I was going to send you. But couldn't pull that one off. So I got 34 people in. The rest of you people can come in late in the middle. Just remember 814-6749. Put it in the chat box. 814-6749. Let's get started. Da-da-da-da-da. Kahoot at home. General principles of insurance. 3, 2, 1, boom. Authority given in a contract with the insurer. Express, apparent, implied, law of agency. Anybody been studying this stuff? Does it make sense to you? The answer is express. So let me tell you what we're talking about here. It's another item you got to know for your test. Agents, that would be me, that would be you, have 3 levels of authority. I'm going to tell you what the 3 are right now. You got to know them, just like you have to know the elements of a contract, right? The 3 elements are express, implied, and apparent. It's not enough to know the words. We got to know what they mean. Now, what they're telling us here, express, is actually the easiest one to know. It's written in your contract. You have authority because it's in the contract you signed. You have to know who the contract is with. The contract is with the insurance company that appointed you. It's not with the State Department. It's, I sell a policy for Blue Cross Blue Shield because they appointed me. When they appointed me, they gave me a contract. It says in a contract, I can do something or I can't do something. Written in the contract is an express authority. That's the easiest one to understand. Some people miss it because they don't know who the contract's with. It's with the insurance company, but it's in writing, okay? We are going to need to know what implied and apparent are, and something tells me they're going to be future questions. I kind of know that. What do we got here? Josie, Han Solo. Oh, we got some new players today, unless you guys went and changed your name. Han Solo, that's cool. TJ, Tino, and Nettie. Next question. Which is not one of the available methods for dealing with exposure to risk? Ooh, this is filled with all these insurance words that I don't know. Exposure to risk. Avoid, transfer, retain, ascertain. Ascertain a risk. Let me tell you what this question's about. Let's start off with this. Every one of us has risk. What is risk? In the language of insurance, risk is, yes, this information's in all tests. This is general information, P&C, health, life, they all are going to cover this, okay? So it's not P&C policies, but it's general information that is available on these tests. So risk means I have the possibility of a loss. We all have risk. Go out to get in your car and you got a flat tire. The loss is I only have 3 good tires now. We all have risk of loss. The question is, what do I do about that? I can avoid it. How do I avoid a flat tire? Don't ever drive your car. So it doesn't matter if the tires go flat. That would be avoiding it. I can transfer the risk. And how we transfer the risk, I know a lot of people know this one, is I buy an insurance policy to fix my flat tire. That's transferring the risk to someone else. I can retain the risk and say, if I get a flat tire, I'll fix it myself. What you don't do is ascertain the risk. Just sit down and think about, the risk. What is a method of dealing with exposure? You can transfer it by buying insurance. You can avoid it. You can retain it. There's others. but ascertaining does not fit. So if you miss the question because you don't understand what it means to deal with exposure to risk, it will have a vocabulary problem. You need to look up what exposure to risk means. Exposure to risk exists for all of us. I can get a flat tire. That's exposure to risk. So what am I going to do about it? And I could do red, blue, I don't know what that other one is, copper, but ascertaining it doesn't change how I deal with the risk. Okay, sitting around thinking about it doesn't do anything. How do we do here? Nettie, first place. Congratulations. King, Jennifer, Alyssa, and Ashley. Number 3 says to voluntarily give up a known right. We have a word for that in insurance. You have a right and you decide to give it up. It's a waiver, and almost everyone got that right. We can put a waiver on a policy where the policy comes with these benefits. But because of your health, we don't want to insure your back. So we put a waiver on your policy. You have a right to that, but we're saying if you want our policy, you got to give up that right to have that covered. Maybe not the best example, especially for you people doing P&C, but waiver says, I understand this is not going to be covered on my policy. Now, to have a waiver on a policy, the insurance company shows it to you and you have to sign that you know it. You know it's not covered. If you don't want that, don't take the policy. Give it back to the insurance company. But sometimes we get offers from insurance company that aren't exactly the way we want them because they put waivers on them. Say, you know, look, we'll cover you, but we won't cover this. That's a waiver. I hope that that makes some sense. And the leader has now become Nettie. So if you guys have any questions on waivers, ask Nettie. There you go. Next question. Written authority of an insurance producer that is in the agency contract. That's Express. We asked this question before. On this 4th question, we've asked the same thing twice. Express is written in the contract. Okay. Apparent and implied are not. Presumed doesn't exist. There's only 3 levels of authority: express, apparent, and implied. Express is written in the contract. How are we doing here? Still Nettie, Jennifer second, Ashley, King, and Ray. Next question. According to the general rules of agency, an agent represents the policyholder, the insurer, the broker, or the insured. It's a pretty important question. Who do you represent when you get a license? We represent the insurance company that appoints us. Some people thought that we represent the insureds. We do not. We represent an insurance company. When we go out to the public, I used Blue Cross, not because I love Blue Cross, but if I'm working to sell a Blue Cross policy and I go out to talk to someone, I represent Blue Cross. I always represent the insurance company. And if you look at these possible answers, this is just a little test taking. The insureds and the policyholder are actually the same people, are they not? Close enough. We don't represent them. We represent the insurance company. And that's the answer to the question. And I'm sticking to it. Jennifer has gone to first place, Ashley, King, and Alyssa. Next question. The authority which is given by the insurer that is not specified. This is a little clever. Given by the insurer, but not specified. That is implied. Hey, great job, folks. We haven't even talked about this yet. If it's written in a contract, it's express. But I said implied and apparent are not written in a contract. If it's given by the insurance company, but not specified in the contract, that would be implied. I'll give you an example that helped me grasp this. The insurance company says they expect you to provide good service, but they don't tell you what good service is. So it's implied. And then you get a specific situation. You're working in an office. Somebody comes in to pay their policy, but their agent's not there. What do? You take the premium and give them a receipt and make sure that gets recorded as paid and tell the agent about it. What you don't do is tell them the agent isn't here. You have to go home and refuse their money. The insurance company would not want that. That's implied. Is that scenario written in a contract? No, but it's implied that if somebody wants to pay their policy, you accept it, okay? So that would be implied. From the insurance company's point of view, here's what I do. Take my glasses off and say, from the insurance company's glasses, what would they expect of you? That's implied, okay, from the insurance company's point of view. And implied is the right answer. And the scoreboard, Jennifer stays in first, Ray has moved to second. Next question. Sharing, transfer, avoidance, retention, and reduction are rate calculation, methods of selling insurance, law of large numbers, methods of handling risk. Great job. Almost 100%. By the way, this is a good example of the type of questions the state will give you. You've not seen it said like this before, but I got to know the language well enough to think to myself, what are they talking about here? Sharing, transferring, avoiding, retaining, and reducing. Is that a rate calculation? It doesn't make any sense. How can I get a rate from that? Is how we sell insurance? I don't think so. Law of large numbers or methods of handling risk. So one of the things we do when we take a test is you eliminate answers that are clearly don't make any sense. And the one left standing is the right answer. I talked to you about avoiding risk, like never driving your car. You can also transfer the risk to an insurance company. You can retain the risk yourself, or you can reduce the risk. Reduce the risk by buying new tires, right? Something like that. Doesn't guarantee anything, but it reduces the element of a flat tire. You're a star at handling risk. That's interesting. I don't know if I want to ask what you do. Anyway, thank you. Next question. Oh, no, not next question. Jennifer, Han Solo is in second. Ray, Nettie, and Josie. Next question says, People who are riskier than the average person. Thanks for clarifying that, Davina. The answer is adverse selection. Now, most of you picked speculative risk. So what this question says to me as a person who's coaching you to get ready for the test is there's language in this question you haven't figured out yet, and you got to know it. Folks, you got to learn the language of insurance. Let's talk about what's wrong. A speculative risk. You have to know the difference between a speculative risk and a pure risk. And I'm going to say this to you. I don't have any video. I don't have any fancy slide to show it to you. So you can rewatch the video, or you can look it up, or you can take your pen and write a little note. A speculative risk is one, it's gambling. It's you put some money down in hopes of winning big. It's buying a lottery ticket. It's going and hitting the slot machines. That's speculative risk. You might win, you might lose, you're going to lose. But anyway, that's speculative. A pure risk, that's insurance. With insurance, you're never going to make a profit. You buy insurance to put you back where you were. My car got totaled, so they give you enough money to get another car. But if you're driving a Toyota Camry, you're not going to get enough money to buy a Ferrari, right? They're going to give you enough money to buy the same type of car you already had. That's a pure risk. We put you back where you were. That's insurance. Speculative risk is gambling. Avoidance selection, in fact, the three of them have nothing to do with this question. The question is a risky person. Now we get to the thing that's most important here that I want to explain to you. Folks, the words adverse selection are really important in insurance. For an insurance company to stay in business, they've got to have a predictability about claims. If I don't have any idea what my claims are going to look like, I might not collect money, then I can't pay the claims, then I'm bankrupt and everybody loses. I've got to have data so I know how many cars are going to get wrecked. I got to know about what we pay out in claims so I can charge the right rate. Here's the problem. When we insure too many people who are bad risks because they take extra chances, because, you know, they're just people that statistically we know these people have more accidents than other people. We call those people adverse selection. Adverse, they're selecting against the insurance company because they're not average. They're going to have more claims than the average person. If every insurance company is going to take on these people. The question is, if you take too many of them, it can put you out of business. So adverse selection is really important. It's why we underwrite policies. We want to look the person over and see if this is someone we want to insure or not. And if we insure them, should we charge them extra money because they present additional risk? Because we can do that. But the words is adverse selection tells us something here is going to cause more claims if we insure a lot of that. So I don't have time to go in and explain everything in a lot of detail. And because I can't see you folks, I don't know if you're all sleeping. I don't know if I'm making sense or I'm just boring you because you already know it, but I have to try to explain it. It happened at work. We have a customer that had so many car accidents in less than 4 months. That person's adverse selection if they want to buy insurance. That's somebody you got to think, do I really want to insure this person or do we want to put them in the risk pool, right? Hopefully that makes some sense to you folks. Number 9. Oh, before number 9, Jennifer's still in first. The people after Jennifer, are changing slightly. Number 9 says, how does reinsurance benefit an insurer? Well, if I don't know what reinsurance is, I'm in trouble. Let's see if we can figure it out. Latera, I'm cracking up laughing about your sister. You got to tell her, you know what I learned in insurance class? You are adverse selection, girl. It helps to protect the insurer against catastrophic losses, and almost all of you got it right, which tells me you have some idea of what reinsurance is. Reinsurance is not a major part of your test, but it tends to show up as one question on a lot of tests. And if it's an easy question to learn, you don't want to give points away. Unfortunately, the most common failing grade in test is 68 or 69. For the sake of 1 or 2 questions, I would have passed. So if this is learnable and it gives you a point, take it. Reinsurance is when an insurance company insures an insurance company. It's like a safety net for the insurance company. So I'm going to take Latera. You made me laugh. So Latera is now an insurance company, and she insures a really big risk, $1 billion building. Well, she gets a nice large premium for that, and she's operating great. And she says, if that thing goes down, I don't want to pay out $1 billion on one claim. Okay. So she goes to another insurance company, say Hannah, says, why don't you take some of this risk? I'll give you a percentage of the premium, and you say take half of the risk, and I'll have half the risk. That's reinsurance. Hannah is splitting the risk with her. And insurance companies do this all the time, but the customer never sees it. A customer bought a policy from Latera Insurance, pays premiums to Latera Insurance. When they have a claim, gets a check from Latera Insurance. But behind the scenes, Latera is sharing that so that she doesn't have to bear that big claim all in 1 year. That sharing is called reinsurance. And hopefully that explanation helps explain it. And moving on here, we see that Jennifer actually, Jennifer's got a nice, apparently safe lead. Next question. People who are more prone to losses than the average person. I know a part of you wants to say all of them, but the insurance word that we learned is adverse selection, okay? Bad drivers are adverse selection. Sick people, if they're buying medical insurance, are adverse selection. Older drivers, what you talking about, Willis? You know, when it gets personal with me, I have to react against it. But the words we want to use are adverse selection, okay? Even though the other 3 probably are adverse selection, we want to use the insurance word. Jennifer just seems to get further and further ahead. Ashley, Han Solo, and Eddie and Josie, I don't want to discriminate. You guys are doing well. Insurance that is a result of agreements of indemnity between subscribers. What the heck are you talking about? It's in the book, if you've been studying. The answer is reciprocal. Now, where's this coming from? In your study material, you have to learn about 6 different types of insurance companies. Fraternal, reciprocal, and mutual are 3 of them. There are 3 others. You got to get at least a walking knowledge of them so you can recognize them in a question. Reciprocal, the people are called subscribers. And it is an agreement of indemnity. Oh, another word, Peter. Yeah, you got to know what indemnity means too. It's an agreement of indemnity between subscribers. So when you look in reciprocal, you'll see that the people who are agreeing together are called subscribers. Now, indemnity is a very simple word. We're just not familiar with it. Maybe you all are. To indemnify, or indemnity, means to restore you to where you are. It's pure risk. We're not going to make it profitable, but we'll put you back where you were. That's the process of indemnity. And you can look it up on Google, but your word indemnity or indemnify are going to be on your test, is because, well, that's what we're talking about with insurance. We provide indemnity to our clients, putting them back where they were. So remember, I told you, this is a vocabulary test. Get comfortable with the words, the test gets easier, okay? How are we doing? Jennifer now is 2,000 points ahead. Make it interesting for him, Jennifer. Don't answer the next 2 questions. I'm joking. All right, next question. Government insurance programs are funded by. They're funded by taxes. The primary difference between private insurance, like United, Aetna, Geico, whatever, private companies, and government insurance is how they're funded. Private companies are funded by premiums. People pay premiums for the policy. Government insurance is funded by taxes. That should be easy to get understood. But it's a concept you have to know. Government insurance is paid for by the taxpayers. Private insurance is paid for by the policyholders in a premium. That should be easy enough to separate. And that's where they're coming from with this question. Okay. Well, since Jennifer is just taken off on this, Nettie's in second, Ashley, Trixie, and Han Solo are all in the running for second and third. Next question. The right to enforce that right in the future is no longer available. What are they talking about? Another important word. The word is estoppel. When I learned about estoppel, the teacher just said, stop, estoppel, stop. And that helped me, because if I sign a waiver on a policy that says, I'm not covered if I fly a private airplane, they're not going to cover that. They cover me any other place, but if I want to privately fly a plane, I'm not covered. That's a waiver. Okay, I waive that off. Once I sign a waiver, the principle of estoppel goes in force right away. What it means is, if I crash an airplane while I'm flying, the insurance company isn't going to pay, and my family or myself cannot sue the insurance company for payment. Why? I have a signed waiver that says I understand I'm not covered. So it stops me from suing. It enforces the right. What does the question say? Right to enforce. The right to enforce that right in the future is no longer available. I have waived it. Because I waived it, stop. That's what estoppel means. Hopefully that helps you get that right on the test. We've got in second place, Nettie, and Solo moved into third barely. Ashley, you're right there. So is Noemi. I haven't mentioned Noemi yet. Next question. Due to chance, definite, measurable, statistically predictable, not catastrophic, and large loss exposure. Somebody's microphone is on, so if you could check and make sure you're muted, that'd be helpful. The answer is elements of an insurable risk. In the beginning of your study, it's really right in the beginning, it says, what risks are not insurable, okay? And they talk about these things have to be here. Well, what is insurable? To be insurable, it has to be due to chance, it has to be definite. I can't see this. Measurably, statistically predictable, not catastrophic, and large loss exposure. If it's not those things, the insurance company can't insure it. Okay. Let's take due to chance. I'm not going to go through all of them with you because of time. Due to chance, we can't insure a burning building. Why? It's already burning, my friend. Okay. Due to chance means it has to be standing there and we can cover it for fire. So there's some things we can't insure. So it has to be due to chance. It has to be definite and measurable, statistically predictable, not catastrophic and large loss exposure. There's a lot of explanation I can do on this slide. I'm looking at my time. I'm going to tell you something. I don't have time to explain that like I'd like to. These games are meant for entertainment, fun, and to help clear up a few ideas. These games are not designed to get you prepared for a test. You have to learn a lot more than these clever little questions, okay? That's why I'm going to say it again. To really get ready for the test, seriously consider going and getting a package from Melissa. I've got her site, her link, I'm going to post as soon as we finish our last question, but I'd like you to seriously consider that. That's the way to get everything cleared up. Next question. Congratulations, Trixie showed up here. The next question. The main purpose of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act protects the consumers. What it does is says if there's something in your credit report that's wrong, you can get it changed. The purpose of that act was to protect consumers, okay? Now, some of you put protect consumer privacy. Close, but you know, close doesn't count in horseshoes. It protects against the circulation of inaccurate information. Your privacy is actually protected under a different law. HIPAA protects your privacy, correct? There's an act called Gramm-Leach-Bliley. Shows what a nerd I am. That protects privacy. But the Reporting Act protects information that's on your report is wrong, you can get it changed. So try to remember that one. It's a relatively easy question if you get it on the test. All right, we got one more question to see who finishes where on the podium. And that question says, assumed or perceived authority by the customer. That is apparent. I haven't explained this one yet, but I'm going to go back and talk about the eyeglasses. Remember I told implied authority was from the insurance company's point of view? Apparent is from the point of view of the consumer. So it appears that you have authority. It looks like you have authority. So that's apparent. But maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'll give you an example. I show up to present a policy with stationery from the insurance company. My business card has the name of the insurance company, but I type information on there that I made up and isn't even true. But from the point of view of the public, it sure looks true to them. I have apparent authority. Now, whether it's true or not, it looks like I have authority from whose eyeglasses? From the client, the customer. That would be apparent. It's from the eyeglasses of the insurance company, it would be implied. So that's where we're going with that. I think we're ready for an award ceremony. And then I have two things to tell you before we take them. Trixie finished in third place. Congratulations. Nettie finished in second. And first place from beginning to end is Jennifer. Fourth place goes to Han Solo, and fifth is, was it actually Sim? I don't know your name. Let me conclude with a couple of things. Let's see if I can just get rid of this and just get back to, forgive me the music. I didn't bother shutting it off, but we're really running out of time and I want to do two things for sure. Number one is, I think this one's really important. These games, Peter, these games were designed two reasons: to have fun, little competition, and to learn some things, to clarify some things along the way. I hope we accomplished that. But I want to tell you that nothing beats, consider buying one of Melissa's programs, okay? I put up a link there. If you'll click on that link, you can go in there and look at her programs. We believe the gold is the best, but if you don't want to spend that much money, you can get a silver or a bronze. Consider them because that's going to take you in a deeper dive to really cement this information. The last thing I want to tell you, since this is the first time I've done this with Melissa, it would really be helpful to me if you could write an evaluation. I think she's going to email you and say, how'd the class go? What I tried to do is teach you some stuff in a way that was understandable and have a little bit of fun. Okay. So if that worked for you, let Melissa know. And if it didn't work for you, hey, tell the truth. Okay. Let it fly. But I had a good time. Okay. And I hope you guys did too. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. Just look for them. I'm also going to be teaching some classes and doing some personal instructing one-on-one. So if it makes sense to you, consider that in the future also. So happy trails to you. Have a great time. It was a lot of fun for me. And you're saying some nice things. Make sure Melissa hears that now. Okay. She wasn't here.
I'm here at the end.
Oh, you were
Finish
here.
my meeting. Yeah. Oh, and the dogs are barking.
I have that effect on dogs.